Director of Operations for the men's basketball program, Colton Houston. Colton, how are we doing this afternoon?
Doing great, Travis. Just enjoying a beautiful day here in Tuscaloosa. Wearing my Steph Curry jersey today, just for you, man.
Colton must follow me on Twitter. I had an early left-right combo for the. What's up with these UA students? Have you seen them, Colton? Have you? I mean, now you've taken me there. You know, I had so many things I want to talk to you about, but now you've taken me to the jersey deal that we're seeing from UA students, and I've seen it like for all semester. Students wearing Major League Baseball jerseys, hockey jerseys, NBA jerseys. What do these kids know about AI, Colton? Really? Come on,
man. I think that's just the trend today, man. The jerseys are in, and you know you can sort of show love to your hometown or to your favorite player, or throw it back to a guy that maybe you weren't even alive when he played. But that's just a cool thing to do today, I think.
You know, I actually thought it was like Greek initiation or something. I really did, because I didn't think anybody would voluntarily wear that. But I think you're right. I think you're absolutely correct, and it's epidemic proportions right now. Somebody needs to tell these kids we're not at Rutgers.
It's one of those. Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things. If you think back to when you were in college, when I was in college, we wore some pretty funny things, and
look, I'm so
really
old.
Point any fingers.
I know. I'm so old. Bugle Boy was the fashion we had the acid wash baggy type jeans that you could peg at the bottom, and when you pegged them, it was a paisley print. So you had like a paisley peg. It was awful, but no, actually you're right. You're absolutely correct. But wanted to have you on because I know we're about to enter a very busy time of year in terms of summer camps. Everywhere you look now, camps. And wanted you to talk a little bit about what you guys have going on for the men's basketball program and Coach Johnson and Avery's summer camp routine that you guys are getting underway here before too long.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, our camps are really going to be here before we know it. Our camp, we're going to have 1 week of camp this year, June 19th through the 22nd. And it's for boys ages 7 all the way up through high school. And just to give you an idea, you know, last year when Coach Johnson got the job in April, we didn't have a lot of time to put the camp together. So we kind of threw it together as quickly as we could. He definitely wanted to have a camp because camp's really important to him. He used to run camps out in Texas, and it means a lot to him to be able to run those camps. But we threw it together quickly last year and said we're going to be lucky if we get 150 people to sign up in this short amount of time. And we ended up with about 180 campers, which is a really good number. And just to give you some perspective on where we are this year, we're already over 160 registered with about 6 weeks to go. So, you know, I think that's a testament to how excited the fans are about Coach Johnson and the program. But it's also a testament to last year's camp and how much the campers enjoyed it and how many of them have already signed back up for this year. Really, you know, if you go to our camp website, CoachAveryCamps.com, tons of info there. You can sign up right there. And I'm happy to give out some info here on the radio as well. But, you know, we're really looking forward to it.
What is your drop-dead number that you can facilitate, Colton? I mean, in terms of, you know, you need to get signed up because once you get to it, is there a certain number where you're pretty much capping it, or what can you handle?
Lucky. Yeah, we're fortunate because Coleman Coliseum is a really good venue, and the camp is right there in Coleman. The campers play on the main floor and all that, so we can accommodate a lot of kids. And our goal is 300. Now, we'll probably end up cutting off registration during that first week in June just because we have to order food, we have to hire camp coaches, and we have to make arrangements based on how many kids come. So we've been telling folks during that first week in June, you know, we kind of need to know if they're coming or not. So they've got about a month here to register.
Now, also as a part of your job, you're very much into the analytics. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because it's amazing how big that has become in sports in general. And not just basketball, but football, baseball. Obviously, if you keep up with the Oakland A's and their situation throughout the years under Billy Beane, I think that was probably where it got its legs. But what does that entail? I mean, on a daily basis, in season, out of season, what are the things that you're looking at? And as a Harvard grad, I'm guessing, it makes sense. You're the smartest guy they've ever had on this show. So just so you know that, but from an analytical standpoint, what goes into those duties?
Well, there's so much you can do with the analytical side of the game. And it's funny that you mentioned the Oakland A's and kind of their role in bringing it more to the mainstream, because I'm like a lot of folks. I read Moneyball back when it came out and just thought it was the coolest thing, because I grew up playing sports and I've always loved basketball, football, baseball, but I also enjoyed, math and analyzing the numbers. And reading that book, I realized you can kind of marry those two things together. And for us, a lot of NBA programs might employ 15 to 20 people just to analyze the numbers, look at the data, and there's so much available to them. We're a little bit of a smaller operation, but some of the things we do is we make a lot of use of KenPom.com. Ken Pomeroy is he's kind of the best there is when it comes to college basketball stats. We do a lot of looking at plus minus, and that's really something Coach Johnson's brought to the program, because that's big in the NBA. And what that means is we look at individual players and also different combinations of players and how they do on the court in terms of a positive point differential or negative. And I think once you get enough games under your belt and enough minutes under your belt, you can start to see some trends there with certain combos that work better than others, or certain guys that are kind of giving you more than others that maybe doesn't show up in the box score.
Interesting stuff. Now, another facet of college basketball that we're just seeing, not just basketball, but other sports as well, is the graduate transfer industry is what I call it now, because it seems as if it's become its own standalone sort of time on the recruiting calendar. Am I right on that? I mean, is it evolved to that point from the coaching side of it when you guys look at all the movement and all the guys that are out there these days?
I mean, I think it has, because almost everyone, and including us, is basically finished with their 2016 class in terms of their high school signees. But there are guys who are transferring who still haven't committed, and guys who maybe have just recently announced they're transferring. As much as a problem as it may be that we're having 600, 700, 800 guys transfer every year in D1, you can't ignore it, and you have to sort of take part in it, because honestly, from kind of the inside, from inside our program, we've benefited from that transfer rule. And like, I'll use Arthur Edwards as an example,
mm-hmm.
who, started for us last year. Arthur had a good reason to transfer. He didn't feel like he was in a good fit in his old situation, and said, I'm going to go try to find a better fit. I've only got 1 year of college basketball left. Took some visits, really hit it off with Coach Avery and our staff, ends up coming to Alabama and having the best year of his career by far. Really helped our team, really helped him better himself and put himself in position to potentially have a professional career. So, I think it's easy to look at the numbers and how many kids are leaving and say, this is a problem, we got to stop this. But when you look at specific cases, and I think Arthur's definitely one of those that would fit this bill, sometimes it's good for a kid, And, I don't really have an answer of how I would fix it or solve it, but I think, here at Alabama, what we try to do is we try to really be careful about the graduate transfers we take. We just signed a kid, Corbin Collins, from Morehead State, who we're really excited about. We feel like he can have a similar impact to us that Arthur did. Good kid, good family, got his degree from Morehead, wants to play one more year at a high level, and, he felt like we were a good fit for him and vice versa. So, I think, we want to take the kids that are going to be good fits for us and going to help us. But you're right, it's become its own little section of the recruiting calendar here in May, where, you kind of have to keep your ear to the ground on who might be transferring, who's interested, and if you can pick up a player here or there that's going to help your team, I think you have to do it.
You mentioned Collins, and you look at him, 6'3", 190 pounds. Is he a guy that you guys think can help at a couple of spots, or is he primarily a two? Or watching a little bit of his highlight stuff, he looked like he could do it both getting to the basket and from behind the arc. A pretty versatile looking guy, I would say.
Yeah, he's definitely versatile. He can play multiple positions. I think we'd probably call him a combo guard, meaning he can play the two but can play some one. And we're fortunate. We're in a position where, at the point guard spot, we have some guys who we think are pretty good with Dazon Ingram and Avery Johnson Jr. So we're not going to have to throw him, into the starting lineup at point guard necessarily, but if he gives us some depth there, that's a good thing. But certainly can play a lot on the wing. And the great thing about, a guy like Corbin is not only has he played college basketball for 4 years and proven that he can compete at this level, he actually has a year under his belt in our league, having started out at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas when you bring a freshman in, you might think they're going to be a great player, but you don't really know until they get out there and play for the first time, and they may be nervous going against SEC competition or this, that, and the other. With a guy like Corbin, he's not going to be fazed by that because he's been there, done that. And that's certainly a positive when you think about bringing in, a fifth-year guy like him.
Now, Colton, today we're talking about some upcoming road trips for the Alabama football team during the fall, and you're welcome to chime in on that if you'd like. But I was going to ask you specifically, you've been around the league now. In terms of road trips, if you were going to say to an Alabama basketball fan, Alabama sports fan, you need to go to this place for an Alabama road game, and maybe a place that doesn't get it could be a place that maybe isn't as prominent as Kentucky. It could be another place where maybe you're like, this place doesn't really get valued maybe as much as some other trips, but give us one or two must-sees if you're an Alabama fan.
All right. Well, before I give you the must-sees, I'm glad you brought this up, Travis, because Coach Johnson's talked a lot lately about trying to have a larger presence of fans travel with us.
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, we set a record this year for attendance at Coleman Coliseum, over 13,000 per game. But, Coach's whole thing is good to great, so he's not satisfied with that. He says our next step is we got to get some fans to travel with us. So I would say, first off, and I hate to even mention them, but the Auburn game at Auburn, it doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, softball, baseball.
Right.
The fans get jazzed up for that one. So Auburn game is always a really, really tough environment. I've been fortunate to go down there and win a few times, and there's no better feeling than getting a road win against your rival. But I think any extra Alabama fans that we can get in that building only help us. And then I like Vanderbilt's arena because it's so unique.
Right.
If you've never been to a game at Memorial Gymnasium, it's unlike any other gym in our league and probably the country. So I would throw them in there just because really cool venue, really cool city. The benches are behind the goals on the end lines, but that's not the only thing that's unique. That whole building is unique. So I'd say Memorial would probably be my number two.
There you go. Kind of like a museum, when you go there. But
I'll say this: you would think, if you were listening, kind of the fan bases that get onto you the most on the road, you wouldn't think Vanderbilt's up there, but there's some fans that sit behind that bench that really give it to the coaches and players.
How about that?